we are going to look at some of the most common grammar mistakes in IELTS Task 1 writing. However, I should note this will also benefit TOEIC students because the rules are the same. Okay, so let's look at Task 1 writing in IELTS. We know we often describe a chart, a graph, a table. Well, when we describe a graph, a lot of people make a mistake by using increase, grow, skyrocket in a passive voice. For example, it says from 1991 to 2001, the temperature was increased. This is wrong. Or the number of the students in the school was declined by 20%. This is wrong. We do not need was. There is no reason to use was because there is no real subject. The increase, the decline are organic. Let's look at another example. We see a chart with the global price of oil. The price of oil increased dramatically. Wrong. The price of oil was increased dramatically. We do not need was. It is not being done by someone. However, we could make the sentence passive if we say Starbucks raised the price of their coffee 20%. Well, we know who raised it. We have a clear subject. So this could be passive. The price of their coffee was raised by Starbucks. However, in IELTS, you will almost never use increase, decrease, fall, grow in passive voice in Task 1. You will almost never need to do it. So get rid of that was. All right, mistake number 2, using increase by and increase to incorrectly. Imagine a situation like this. In 1999, the average cost of beef was $6 a kilo. Okay, now the average price is $11 a kilo. Here are some mistakes. The price increased of $5. That's a mistake. Here's another mistake. The price increased to $5. Well, when we talk about the difference, we use by or nothing. So 11 minus 6 equals 5. I am good at math. So the price increased by $5. That's the difference. You could also say the price increased $5. However, for IELTS, I would keep by. However, if you use to, that is the final amount. The final amount. The price increased from $6 to $11. Or the price increased to $11. That is the final amount. Okay, the next common mistake is when using increase, rise, decrease. When do we use a decrease in and a decrease of? Well, we are using it as a noun here, and let's imagine a new graph. Okay, this is the cost of living in a country. The person says there was an increase of the cost of living. This is wrong. There was an increase in the cost of living. So there is an increase in what you are measuring. Or if I said there was an increase in 20%, this would be wrong. Better, there was an increase of 20%. So increase in is what you are measuring. Increase of, when we say there was an increase of, there was a growth of, there was a decline of, this is how much. Let's look at one more example. There was a drop in the price of detached homes as they went from an average of $400,000 to $350,000, a difference of $50,000. Okay, let's look at mistake 4 that people make. Often they use the wrong adjective before percentage and proportion. Let's look at an example that is incorrect. Many or much percentage of the residents of the city took the subway to work. This is incorrect. Before proportion and percentage, we are often talking about size. So we have a high proportion, a large proportion, a significant proportion. We do not describe proportion and percentage with many or much. Now, another mistake, if you said a little percentage of the residents took the cars to work, well, better a small percentage, a low percentage, an insignificant percentage. Okay, let's look at another mistake that is quite common. Here, let's look at mistake number 5. Mistake number 5 is when people use raise and rose incorrectly. Now, if we look at this, let's look at the sentence that is wrong. The average number of people who went to the theater weekly raised approximately 5% from 2000 to 2005. Let's look at what is correct. The average number of people who went to the theater weekly rose approximately 5%. Okay, so we see that. Let's look at another sentence that is wrong. The bank rose the interest rate from 3 to 6%. Correct. The bank raised the interest rate from 3 to 6%. Okay, so what's going on here? Well, rise, rose, risen cannot have an object. For example, he rose his arms. This is wrong because rise, rose, and risen cannot have an object. Or if you said she has risen the amount of money for her service. This is wrong because the amount of money is an object. Better, he raised his arms. Or she has raised the amount of money for her service. So let's look at some example sentences from IELTS. We say the price of coffee rose 2% last year. This is correct because there is no object. So the price of coffee rose 2%. Note, 2% is not an object here, it's an adverb. Or the average temperature is expected to rise between 1 and 2 degrees over the next 2 years. Okay? Now, this is fine because we do not have an object. However, if you use raise, raised, raised, the sentence must have an object and it can be passive voice. Let's look at an example. The company raised the price by 3%. So the price is the object. We must have that. Passive, the price was raised by 3%. Let's look at another example. The hotel raised the service fee from $5 to $10. The service fee was raised from $5 to $10. So usually in IELTS, you do not have an object. You're saying it's natural, like the price rose, the temperature rose. So in IELTS, you will usually use rise, rose, risen. But if you have an object after it, you will use raise or raised. All right, so these are some common, okay everyone, so these are some common grammar mistakes made by IELTS students and IELTS learners, but it's also useful for TOEIC because this can come up on many TOEIC questions. Please share, subscribe, like, and have a great day. Bye.